Let's take a look at another tool that you can use to do basic traces between the browser and the server, just to do some comparison and talk about when this might be appropriate compared to Fiddler. So the network tab was added into the IE9 developer tool. So if you're familiar with developer tools, you can hit F12 when you're in IE. It's had the ability to do JavaScript profiling. It's very helpful to see what CSS is applied to a given element. So the tools have been around for a long time, but the network tab was just added in IE9. What are the advantages of this tool in general over Fiddler? Really the biggest one to me is that I don't need to install anything else. So on my machine I don't care, on any of my development machines I don't care. There's two places that I don't ever want to install software typically. That would be a user's desktop or my parents' machine, because we'll be tech support forever if anything goes wrong with that machine once we install something. So I'm pretty hesitant to install things on other people's machines. We'll talk about an option that's a little more lightweight than Fiddler later, but if you really don't want to or can't install any software on the particular machine, be aware that a big advantage of the IE9 developer tools is they're built in. So if IE9 is the browser installed, you've already got some basic network capturing available to you. You can also view SSL content without being a man in the middle. I'm personally not too concerned about how Fiddler does its decryption. It was pretty straightforward. You saw how we could trust the certificate that Fiddler created. It's a pretty easy process these days that I don't think this is a huge advantage, but it is a small advantage. What are some of the disadvantages over Fiddler? Obviously, it only works in IE. So if I were using Chrome or any other browser, I would have to use their tools to do these same sort of functions, so you'd have to get used to multiple different types of tools. You can't modify the traffic, so if I want to do some of the testing where I want to modify the request or the response, that's not something I can do in developer tools. IE can export XML, so after I get a capture I can export it to an XML file, but there's no way to import. So if I wanted to import some data from another machine, it doesn't work to import it. So I don't want to get too used to this interface and how it works, because I know I can only really use it for the machine that I've captured things on. IE doesn't show compression, so the network trace will show all of the requests, but because the browser has already done its decompression, you won't be able to see if the content was actually compressed from the web server to you, which is important when you're doing performance evaluations. You also can't easily see statistics on particular requests. So in Fiddler, we showed how you can select particular web sessions and go to the statistics tab. So I can pick any 4 or 5 or all of the requests, and I can see a chart by type, size, how many requests were made. That's not capable of doing that in IE9 developer tools. It's really basic tracing, not much else, and there's really no extensibility point. So as we talk about extensibility later, you'll see some advantages that Fiddler has. IE is just basic tracing, and that's really about it. It is important to note, though, that Fiddler can import these captured XML files. So if you do happen to use IE9 on, say, a user's desktop, you do a capture, but you like how Fiddler works as an interface and you're used to walking through and troubleshooting, you can actually import the XML file that was exported from IE9 and then be able to use it in Fiddler. Let's take a look at the new network tab in IE9. So once we open IE, we can hit F12 and pull up the developer tools. And you'll notice that it has the ability to clear the browser cache, so let's do that first again. Then we can go to the new network tab. We can say we want to start capturing requests. We can go back to our browser. We can make a request then for the page. Then we can go back into developer tools and stop capturing again. You'll see it's got some of the basic features you would expect. It's got the URLs that were requested. We can see the HTTP status results. We can see the types. We can see how much data was received for each, some of the time taken information. One of the nice things about IE9, it does have an initiator, so it does indicate why this request was made. And we'll see later how that can be pulled into Fiddler as well. And then you see a basic timeline on the side. So again, it's got very basic capturing capabilities. If I want to see the details of a particular request, I can just look at the detailed view. And it's got different tabs for looking at the request headers, the request body, the response headers, the response body, some of the cookies, the initiators again. And then if I would like to, I could save this file and just give it whatever name I want it to have and save it. Then if I want to, I can go into Fiddler later. I can import those sessions. And you can see the requests. So now I'm back into Fiddler. I can use the interface that I'm used to, which is very handy, but I was able to do some basic capturing. So again, I find this very useful when I need to do capturing on a machine in which installing Fiddler or the .NET framework are things I don't want to do, such as a user's machine or my parents'.